mate. Good fish here, I think. Get ready. Righto, give it to it. Give it to it, action. Right. We're in, mate. We've got a yellowfin on here, I think.
It's quick, decisive, the split second a sports fisherman lives for when he sets the hook into a fighting fish.
Good fish? Yeah, I think it's a good fish, mate.
For the next hour and a half, the fight with his unseen opponent will wrench his back, blister his hands, bruise his body, and it may all be for nothing. There's no guarantee that he will win, for the underlying spirit of sport fishing demands that the fish have an even chance of breaking the line and swimming free. The streak of silver is 80 kilograms of yellowfin tuna, the best fighting fish in these waters. Getting it this far is not easy, but it's what sport fishing is all about, catching the biggest fish on the lightest possible line. It's this challenge that attracts the elite of the sport to the tiny fishing village of Narooma on the New South Wales south coast. They've come to compete against the fish and each other at the biggest sport fishing convention in Australia.
David's from DABIDSOA.
Okay, mate.
Yes, please. What cup?
Wollongong. Phil Haycock, Wollongong Sports Fishing.
Good, Phil. Good to see you again, mate.
Yeah, good, mate. Good to be down. Welcome aboard again.
Years now.
Yeah, it was great last time.
Okay, that's the same for the last boat.
Good, thanks very much.
Okay. Oh, I see you've already got a grid in it.
Yes.
Okay, mate. You know about the radio schedule?
How many have you had in so far?
At the moment, we're very close to the 600 mark, and it's unbelievable at the moment. We started out there 9 years ago with 42 blokes from half a dozen clubs, and we've got 30 clubs, 600 blokes, 300 boats, and you know.
How do you handle it all?
Well, I'm not sure. It happens each year. It seems to be that we work a little harder and we sleep a little less, and it happens. We get a lot of help from our club members, but there's a basic core of about 12 solid working men, and that's how it happens.
Excited.
For the 2.5 days of the convention, Narooma sports fishermen exchanged their rods and tackle for potato peelers and slices. They've been happily doing this on the second weekend in March for the last 7 years. Sport fishing then was a hobby for a small bunch of enthusiasts. Now that's all changed. More than 600 people have come to town for the weekend, bringing with them over $1 million worth of boats and fishing gear, and a fund of tall stories to swap over a friendly, casual lunch.
Come on, keep going up this way a bit more.
The top rods, the dedicated sports fishermen, rub shoulders here with the newcomers. They're all after the kingies, wahoo and yellowfin. But the difference is commitment.
Is that 80-pound leader you've got on there?
Yeah, on both rods.
Martin?
Last week, Martin Bauman was in Cairns. He's not a wealthy man and doesn't even own his own boat, but that doesn't count for much. For at Narooma, he's teamed up with a long-time friend, Salty Loddington. For Martin, fishing competitions are now part of his life.
Caught my first big fish about 4 years ago. Yellowtail kingfish, about 30 pounds. Doesn't seem so big looking back, but it was huge at the time. That was the fish probably that got the adrenaline going. Made me think, why aren't I catching more of these fish and why aren't I catching them more often? At that stage it was just a weekend thing, but I wanted to make it full time. So
What job were you doing at the time?
at the time I was a journalist working with professional fishermen. But I thought, that's not good enough. So I resigned, headed for the Gulf of Carpentaria. Worked there on prawn trawlers for a few months to give me sea experience, which was important. And then I headed across to Cairns, which is what I'd always wanted to do, to fish black marlin. I walked the wharf there for 2 or 3 weeks looking for a job until I was lucky enough to get a position as a deckhand.
Why do you say lucky enough to be a deckhand?
Because it's what every fisherman would like to do. Cairns has the biggest and the the most black marlin anywhere in the world. That's why everybody comes there to fish them.
But it was a come down in status for you. How did you feel about that? From
What
journalist to
status?
deckhand?
What status? It was personal satisfaction. That's what Cairns was all about. It was a sensation to see those big fish.
What was it like?
It was a very personal experience. You have to be there to feel it yourself, the surge of adrenaline when you see a fish that might weigh 1,000 pounds, 1,200 pounds, maybe bigger, just explode through the water. How can you tell anybody what that's like? You have to be there, you have to feel it yourself. And then to get that fish to the boat, maybe to kill him, maybe to let him go. Let someone else catch him. Experience the same experience.
Well, why did you come to Narooma?
Well, Narooma's got a soft spot for me because it's where I caught my first big fish. It's where I first saw a marlin, it's where I first saw a big tuna. It's where it all began for me. Narooma is the best light tackle fishing spot anywhere in the area. Cairns is a big fish, big boat, rich man's sport. In Narooma, anybody who can afford a small boat can get out there, catch big fish, experience the same thrill, and yet not cost them near as much. This is game fishing for every man.
This morning, every man is heading out to Montague Island, a small, barren hunk of granite 7 miles off the coast. The island is surrounded by reefs and caves and a warm current that brings the small bait fish, the food for the huge yellowfin tuna that cruise these waters. Getting out to this hunting ground, however, is not easy. A narrow neck of treacherous water guards the exit to the sea at Narooma. In a northeaster and a run-out tide, this water has the power to overturn and smash a small boat.
Sportfish 4, Narooma boat?
Sportfish 4.
Yes, Narooma, we're 2 on board and coming out of Mystery Bay, over.
Roger, Sportfish 4.
Mystery Bay, to Narooma boat, we're 2 and clear.
That last vessel come back. Sportfish 4.
There's 2 and clear, there's 2 and clear. Little Angel to Narooma boat.
Go ahead, Little Angel. Little Angel, can you come in?
This is Soldier 45. We've just come over the bar and we're heading down to the island. Soldier 45 boat.
Ted, what are you doing?
Every vessel that goes across the bar has to be recorded on our charts here. We've got a bit of a dangerous situation with bars. Like most bars, it's very temperamental. And we like to know that our vessels are all safely across the bar. They call before they cross and immediately after they're safely at sea.
Narooma boat, Narooma clear of bar, heading towards Montague.
Roger, Zado. We have the Narooma Sea Rescue on duty there. The rubber duckies are a very fine crew they are. They supervise the crossing of each vessel. If the vessel gets into difficulties, they're on the spot immediately. In the last 12 months, we've probably had 20 boats capsized on the bar, and we haven't lost a life.
Narooma base, Cathy 2.
Come back, Cathy 2.
Through the bar and heading for Montague.
Roger, Cathy 2.
People who've never fished probably wonder what madness drives people to go out there. And that's hard to answer because it's not just one thing. It's not a matter of giving your ego a boost from catching a fish. It's the scene. I guess for every fisherman it's different. For all of them it's a personal thing. It's not just catching the fish. It's being out there, being on the water, seeing so many of the natural things around you, being part of the natural pattern. And there's also the satisfaction of pitting your skill against the fish, which, believe it or not, can be considerable at times. Fish aren't the dumb things some fishermen wish they were.
On the water. Just up right here, mate.
When the last of the convention boats arrives off Montague, there's barely enough room to swing a rod in the jam of small boats. This invasion is enough to scare away most of the professionals who fish the island, but not Paul Doria.
The convention has really grown the last few years, in the past 6 years since I've been coming down here for the first time. There's certainly a lot more boats here now through the convention, but not only through the convention, but generally right through the year. And especially in the last 2 years, there's been more boats. I've seen more boats here than I've ever seen.
How do you feel about those boats?
Oh, well, they're all right once they go, and I've got it to myself again. But, oh, no, I enjoy it. I enjoy seeing a lot of people catching fish. I enjoy people coming down here and seeing what what Montague's got to offer for them.
What has it to offer?
Well, probably some of the best fishing in the New South Wales waters, I'd say.
In these waters, Doria is a master amongst pupils, even though he sometimes has a hard time making a catch.
You getting any eels now, mate?
No, mate, none here at all.
Not getting any.
Not a touch. There was a lot in by the golf club first thing this morning. Blokes there were loading up. You need live bait, I think it'll have to be in there.
Well, I'll see you later on, see if I can get some bait.
All right, cool. Give us a call and let us know how you're going.
Right,
Good luck, mate. See you. Paulie Owe taught us all a lot. It's his techniques that we're using now. I guess he taught me how to fish for yellowfin, how to fish for kingfish. Different techniques. Paul spends so much time out here fishing. He just naturally has to have learned a lot. Nobody can go out, including Paul, and catch a fish every time. Paul just does it more often than anybody else.
Okay.
He's a terrific bloke, a very good fisherman. He was a coal miner. He used to work on the pit face, the coal face. In mines we couldn't quite stand up.
Any more kings here?
Up around Wollongong. And he escaped from it. Went out fishing.
Trying.
In a little 15-foot boat. He went out on days when he shouldn't have been out, when no man should have been out there. Because he had to, had a wife and family and had to look after them. He went from there and got more involved in sport fishing. He was catching fish commercially using amateur techniques, using rod and line, and the other commercial fishermen laughed at him. And he proved them wrong because he caught more than they ever did. He moved to Narooma, got more involved in amateur angling, and he's really been the pace setter fishing in this area. It's techniques that Paul's introduced to Narooma that the winner will use in this weekend.
They're taking baits down here now. Right.
There's some more, Bob.
At the first convention in 1970, the heaviest catch was a 7-kilogram yellowfin tuna. Today, those fish are put through the burley bucket as bait because sports fishermen are hunting fish 10 times that size. Paul Doria has shown them how to do it by using a simple law of the ocean, that big fish eat little fish alive.
The technique of bridling is something that Paul introduced to the area. The idea is to tow a live fish behind the boat. In most cases, it's a frigate mackerel or a striped tuna.
Go forward a bit now.
You catch the fish, bring it aboard, keep it alive. It's essential that it has to be kept alive and that the whole process has to be done very quickly. You take a needle and a piece of thread. The needle's passed through above the eye of the fish so it isn't damaged. The needle's withdrawn, thread tied to the hook, and then that fish is put back in the water and allowed to swim free. Motors start up, the boat trolls slowly away, the fish is brought along behind the boat. Feel him as you're trolling along, you're doing perhaps 2 or 4 knots. You'll feel that frigate vibrating through the water in a normal swimming action. You're holding the line in your fingers all the time. And suddenly you'll feel this extra kick. You'll just get that little bit frantic. And you know the reason is that there's something bigger eyeing him off. You'll kick, you'll dart to one side, he'll dart back again, and then suddenly you'll stop. The pressure on the line, an irresistible pressure, as it begins to move away. And at that stage, you just let line go, you're just feeding line all the time, just feeding it out. As it picks up momentum, and as the reel starts to really move, you strike it, gun the boat, sink the hook, reach back into it, and that's when all hell breaks loose. You'll feel that reel really screaming.
Righto, give it to it. Give it to it, action. Right. We're in, mate.
The yellowfin
On here, I think.
fights down deep. He's a slugger. He'll run as far as he can, you're working back. He'll run again, you're working back. Each time he runs just that little bit less and you get him just a little nearer the boat. And towards the end of a fight, the yellowfin begin to circle. For some unknown reason, always anti-clockwise. And those circles will be narrower and narrower, and you'll spiral the fish closer and closer to the boat. And then on one of those turns, the fish will break the surface, lay on his side, and he's yours. Sink the gaff behind the shoulder and haul him in.
Right, now. Bob. Right.
Beautiful.
You got it right?
Beautiful.
Righto. Not a bad fish. Okay.
And he'll lay there on the deck probably for a couple of minutes. The last beats of the tail. You're always a little sad to kill a big fish. But then, that's what we're out here to do, really.
Hey, Gaines. First one today.
The first catch of the convention was in at 8 o'clock. By many standards, it was a tiddler, weighing just under a kilogram. But even a tail of that size, caught on a light line, is worth a good score for the Canberra Fishing Club, because sport fishing is not solely about big fish. A cast into the shallow waters of the estuary could hook a fish that would rival the point score of something much bigger, caught in the deep water. The sport gives all anglers a chance, wherever they want to fish. In sports fishing, separating the fish from the water has been formalised into an elaborate set of rules and conditions. Every edible fish is rated according to how it will perform when it's hooked up. Like prize fighters, they're graded on their ferocity. They call it the fighting factor.
Fighting factors. Yellowfin tuna, 1.5. Black marlin, 1.2. Striped tuna, 1.5. Bonito, he's 1.5. Sandy flathead, 0.8. Dusky flathead, he's 1. The brim's 1.2. The good old kingfish, yellowtail kingfish, he's 1.5. The moe, good eating, bad fighting, 0.8. Marvellous bait, the frigate mackerel, he's a good fighter, Rory size, he rates 1.5 too.
Bill, what are you talking about?
This is the fighting factors of fish. No two fish fight the same. Some don't fight real good. Him, 0.8, comes into the boat
That's
like
a little flat.
like a wet sock. Now this bloke here, yellowfin tuna, he rates 1.5. He's a real muscle fighter, down deep in the water all the time. The marlin, he's very popular. He's a glamour fish because he's got that spike on his nose, but he only rates 1.2, which is less than the yellowfin, because he spends most of his time jumping out of the water and he wears himself out. He's a shower. He throws himself about.
You can't tell me it wouldn't be harder to land that big fella than that little fella there.
Given line weights, respecting the size of the fish, he's almost as good a fighter as him, if you take him the line. It's no good catching him on a 50-pound line, and that's where the fighting factor comes in. 50-pound line, forget it, no points. Get down to a 1 or 2 pound line, you're ranking with this bloke.
Well, what's the best fighting fish?
The best fighting fish of all, it's not a common one, None that I know of have been caught. He rates too, and that's the broadbill swordfish.
You haven't seen one caught?
I haven't seen one caught in Australia.
And what about the worst?
The worst? Oh, the worst, you'd have to be getting down to the old leather jacket. Top eating fish, but sport fishing, not on, mate. He rates 0.5, a half. He's getting down near the bottom.
One flathead, 1.3. One leather jacket.
No one wanted leather jackets at Narooma. The mood was to get out after the marlin and yellowfin in the big seas.
This hurts. It really does hurt. Those big tuna can hurt a man like no other fish. They're just solid muscle. The first thing to go, I guess, are your shoulders. And then your back. That old back just feels like a spring metal watch band. It gets stretched. And your legs, you're trying to stand up at the same time while the boat's rocking. You're getting pulled from one side to the other. And the whole time that fish is down there, trying to break your back. I don't glory in killing a fish. One of the sad things in fishing is that we have to kill the fish.
You're a real good fish. It's about 120.
They fight so hard. Sometimes it just tears their heart. Sometimes you'll pull a fish in, dead. He's fought his heart out.
Good night.
What size is he?
Jerry hasn't come. Oh, good. He'd have to be 100, 120.
Is that your first good fish, Martin?
Good on you, mate. First for a while, mate. First for a while.
What's it feel like?
Bloody terrific. Bloody good.
Tell us about the fish.
He's in beautiful condition. He's going to kick the bottom out of the boat here, mate. He's a beautiful fish. Beautiful condition. Look at him on the shoulder.
Is that why it's such a good fighter?
Well, that and the fact that they're so thick, but they're built for speed. Look at them, bullet-shaped, streamlined, covered in slime to cut down friction through the water. Look at the fins. They even fold back into a groove. Pectoral fin. See where it folds back into that groove along the side of the body? Groove just there. The first dorsals, they all fold back. Look, they just disappear completely out of sight. And these fins, the second, long dorsals. Come up, for a fast banking turn, back for speed. The little finlets all help with the turn. You can see that caudal keel, which is a feature of game fish. Helps again with stability when they're really swimming fast. They're a fish that's just built for speed.
Yellowfin probably a bit better than 100. Not a bad fish. What? Phew. Got to get him out. Right.
Put his head up on the side here, push. You all right?
You want to lift with him or you right?
Oh, that'll be right. Take the tail. He's a nice fish. He won't win it.
So the biggest fish will win, will it?
No, not necessarily. It's a ratio. The biggest fish on the lightest line.
Why do you fish for these then?
Well, we like to catch a big fish, I guess. We fish for the biggest fish we can on the lightest lines we can. But someone could beat this with a 10-pound fish caught on, say, a 2-pound breaking strain line. It's the ratio of the weight of the fish to the breaking strain of the line that counts.
What's to stop somebody from cheating?
Nothing if they really want to. It's just done on an honour system, but I'm sure most fishermen respect it. If they cheat, well, I mean, they need it more than we do, don't they?
Get that thing up to the scale, partner.
Get him weighed, eh? Oh, guy's out. Grab yours.
Thanks for the heavy.
You got it?
Just let me go a bit further back.
Right. I should have let you catch it on your own.
Right, let's go. One big yellowfin. Here we go. What's the word?
Right, I got it.
What's the word? $10 he went. 10, come on, quick. $10 anyway. 10 anyway. 10, 2, 5, 6, 7. That's 7 on. That's 7 on. That's 7. 8. That's 8. 9. That's 9. Round the corner.
At 58 kilograms, Martin Bauerman's yellowfin was not good enough to win at Narooma this year. Together with the other catches, it ends up in the auction ring in the closing hours of the convention, sold off for charity.
8. 9. That's 9.
Did you enjoy the convention, Martin?
As always. The Narooma convention's always a great convention.
It's a pity about the fish, though, isn't it?
Yeah, there weren't as many fish as there might be. There were some nice fish caught all the same. I got one nice yellowfin, which was good fun.
There's a couple that got away, I believe.
Yeah, one or two.
Always is.
2 marlin in this case, which is a pity because I was keen to catch a marlin.
That's it. Okay, up.
With marlin, though, it's an interesting thing these days. I guess when I do catch one, I have to decide whether I'm going to keep it. Because the trend now is to really just release them. Let them go, let somebody else enjoy catching them.
Why?
Well, really, I guess there's nothing more magnificent than a marlin in the water, and there's nothing more wretched than a marlin on the gantry. And a lot of men are letting them go. You can't blame a man for keeping his first marlin. He's probably spent so long and so many hours out on the water chasing it. But after that, a lot of them are just tagged and released. And I guess that's the decision I'm going to make when I catch one.
Can you picture the scene what your first marlin is going to be like when you get it?
No. Marlin are different. Every fish is different. He could be big, he could be small. Most likely he'll be a small one because it's only a small budget that I can afford to chase him. Be out of a small boat, quite possibly around Montague Island.